Welcome everybody, Midlife Gaming Podcast. Hopefully y'all can hear us. We sorry for being a little bit late. We had some audio difficulties, but we're here and hopefully people can hear us. Steve, how's it going for you?
It's going well. How about yourself?
It's going well. I had to rebuild all of this today, so that was interesting. Hence the rough patch in the beginning. But overall pretty good. Pretty good. Let's get into the news because you shared one story with me, but I also want your take on our initial story. Let me switch over. Is playing the technical test has convinced me Halo Infinite is great, actually, according to Natalie Clayton over at PC Gamer. Now you had a chance to play this. How was your initial reaction to playing the online? Because it was
It
just
was
deathmatch, right?
yeah, deathmatch. It was meh, to be honest. Like, I'm kind of torn, and again, a lot of it, I think. Let me reset expectations. So this is a
Mm-hmm.
technical preview, not an open beta, not a nothing that they were putting forth was like, hey, we're pretty close to launch. It really is a technical preview. They're trying to stress test the servers, things like that. I think at first I even sent you a screenshot. I was like, man, just visually, I'm not impressed by the way it looks. Was my first impression because that's all I had to go off was visuals to begin with. Um, and then I discovered that there is a dynamic scaling that they had working on PC as well. So I turned that off, and I was a little bit more impressed after I did that. But it's not a groundbreaking game visually at all. So then you go on to gameplay, and then gameplay I also feel is not groundbreaking. Like, it is Halo, and it feels great, and everybody loves Halo. But the problem that I had with it, I found myself trying to double jump the entire time. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I was like, why? Is because I'm so used to playing Destiny, which is really
Right.
where the DNA of Bungie and Halo, kind of spun off to. With that, I'm like, I'm so used to playing that, and I'm like, honestly, the multiplayer from Destiny is better than Halo is now. So like, what you're gonna have when Halo releases, and I mean, I'm gonna be all over the place when I talk about this, unfortunately, but I really enjoyed Halo 5's multiplayer. Like, I thought that was incredible. The fire, I think it was called Warzone Firefight or something like that. But that
Yeah, I think it
mode
was Firefight.
was, yeah, like that mode was great. It was like Battlefield. You had all the vehicles that you're used to with Halo. You had all the weapons you could pick up, and it was just chaos all over. They threw in these objective based, kind of tactics like, hey, you gotta, yes, your team is gaining points from, the kills and from capturing bases and all that. But oh, look, there's this PVE enemy on the field now that you guys can race to go kill, which they kind of were bringing some of that Destiny type flair into it. So I really did like that. So I hope that mode returns for PC as Prime for PC, like, just especially how good they can make it look and everything. But really, just to kind of put my feet in the cement somewhere. I did enjoy it, but what I think the challenge is going to have is I feel like the I feel like the players that want this, I feel like we're kind of the minority now. Like, it's a lot of us old school people. Like, how many young kids actually care about Halo? Like, I don't hear anyone outside of my age group ever talk about excitement for Halo. It's
That is
always,
true.
when I look on Twitter, it's like old men in gaming who I've seen for all these years, the IGN crew and the PC Gamer guys and all that. It's like always these people that I'm used to hearing talk about Halo. I'm not seeing these young content creators like, oh my God, wow. Like, even when Xbox did this cringy reaction video compilation from E3, and it was funny because I don't know if you remember, but I live streamed E3 the year that Halo Infinite was first shown off, and like, my reaction was like, "This is very meh." But their compilation video was all these, "Oh my God, look, it's the grunts!" Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, But like that, but those are the people who I really feel like want this. I feel like the other mass mainstream audience for gaming has moved on to the battle royales and kind of like that hectic Call of Duty style
Right.
multiplayer with power ups and action moves and all that. And Halo, at least from what I played, and again, maybe this is one of the problems with doing like these little slice technical previews, because it gets people like me to get a very thin perception of what's going on there. Like, so all I have is the deathmatch, and it was bare bones. It was, oh, this is Halo 2 deathmatch all over again. Like, bare bones. They had a couple of power up typey things, but there was nothing that made it overwhelming. Like, oh man, we're trying to change up Halo. It was like a return to the roots. So I think people who have been with the franchise for years will be happy to kind of get something that's like, oh, look, I can breathe again. It's not all this hecticness of Call of Duty and Fortnite and all that. I think those kind of people enjoy, but I think the other audience will play it a couple of times, but like, yeah, this just isn't as exciting because I'm not gonna lie, I only played it for maybe 3 hours because I was even me. I'm like, yeah, it's just I'd rather play Siege. I'd rather play Destiny. I'd rather play something that has a little more kinetic energy to it. Whereas this is still, Halo. For the time, it was fast, but then everybody
Right.
remembers when Gears of War came out. That was like, oh, this is really fast.
This
So
is
Halo
different.
felt yeah, so Halo feels slow by comparison. Like I said, especially like not even having that double jump special move was killing me, man. Like I was like, oh yeah, I can get to like a cliff this high, that. Whereas in Destiny, you double jump twice and you're 30 feet up in the air, So
Well, they
I
have
was,
did in the mode that you played, did they have the like the whole retractable um
ooh, I
like
know what you're talking
grappling
about.
hook thing?
I don't recall seeing it once. You know what? Actually, let's see. I think it's a power move that, or not a power move. I think it's like one. I forgot what the actual name of it is, but you get like these little expendable things that you pick up and they give you what your special move is. They usually have
Right.
like two uses. So I didn't see one personally, but maybe it was in there. I just didn't see it personally. I saw a lot of the I guess so. I saw a lot of the they have like this vanish cloaking move. I like that one a lot. Overshield I liked a lot. Those are the two that I really saw. It was fun though. I'm not gonna lie. I really did enjoy playing it. My KD. I was kind of surprised. I had a pretty decent KD, especially for
Mm-hmm.
someone who hasn't played Halo in a while. Maybe that's just because the people who got into the preview were casual like me, not maybe the hardcore people. I don't know how
Right.
they divvied out the keys, but I could see myself playing it if that Warzone mode from Halo 5 comes over. If it's just going to be like standard capture the flag and all that kind of stuff, I think it'd probably be a good game for us to play with Tom, like Tom and Badfish and those kind of guys,
Right.
who are still primarily playing on console for some stuff. So I think it'll have some. I'm definitely going to buy it because I want to play the campaign. So that's not a problem. It's just how much of the multiplayer do I expect to get out of it, and I don't think it'd be like 1,000 hours for me. I think it might be more like 2050, and I pick it up and play it every now and then when you guys are like, hey, let's just hop around in Halo because it can be a cool squad game, getting in the
Right.
Warthog, driving around the map, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like I
so
talked forever.
I had played Halo 5 with you and Benny G over at where we used to work. Um and I wasn't really about the Warzone or what I don't even remember what that specific mode was called. I know what mode you're talking about, and it was interesting, but it just didn't feel like Halo. But it also comes back to those same points you made earlier, that most of us that are still talking about Halo are the same people who played it back on the original Xbox, back Combat Evolved and Halo 2 and like Halo 3 was a real turning point for the series and everything. Um and I don't know. I'm definitely gonna give this a go because I'm a devout Game Pass holder. So I this will be included in Game Pass. They've already confirmed that and everything, and I don't know. I'm willing to get my hands dirty on this one. They have not confirmed a battle royale mode yet, but from what I have read online, some people are starting to break into that technical test that they sent out, and they're finding evidence of a battle royale mode. Now, I feel like, and we kind of touched on this last week as well. Like the battle royale mode is already, I won't say declining or dead, but it's just full. It has its own bubble. And I don't know if there's room for Halo to exist inside of that same bubble with Warzone and PUBG and Fortnite. What do you think they have to do to really make themselves stand out? Do they have to bring more of those Destiny elements of where you're not only are you fighting against another team of human people, but there are also NPCs on the map that are screwing stuff up?
So I kind of feel like that's what Warzone, that mode from from Battlefield, from what Halo 5 kind of already was. Like the things I can see them doing something like that. Like there's definitely going to be some type of objective type stuff built in there. The AI that they've put in now into New Halo Infinite is damn good. So I think they want to develop that without having more ideas for it outside of just the basic multiplayer. So I could see them doing that. Like I'm kind of getting flashbacks to when you and me were playing that game, Spellbreak. Like they could definitely
Mm,
do something like that to where you have especially when you think Halo, like it's kind of prime for that replenishment type thing. I don't think they're ever going to do the one death and you're out completely type thing. I don't think that's
right.
their shebang bang. I think it'd be something more like kind of on the battlefield thing of you've got the replenishment of units and something like that, and that's how it's a battle royale. Okay, once your team's died maybe X amount of times, like you're out completely. I don't know. There's a lot, but I really so the thing that I don't see them innovating too much though. I feel like they're going to really try to cater to the hardcore audience because the reason 5 was kind of received so badly and kind of dismissed by people is because it went so different.
Right.
Like I was actually just listening to podcasts Unlocked, IGN's Xbox podcast, and they were talking about, okay, 3 happened, Bungie went off, 343 did 4, and they kind of did it like, oh, okay, we're just going to stick exactly to what Bungie was doing. We're not going to really change too much. And that one was well received, but then people were like, oh, you didn't do enough with it. Okay, so then they did 5. The campaign people hated absolutely because it went so far away from, the typical
Everything
uh,
that was happening.
yeah, and then the multiplayer as well, like you're saying now, you never really gave Warzone a try. So I think this one they're going to try to pull back. Now that they already went the far extreme experimental, they're probably going to try to pull back to really cater to the hardcore audience. It's such a weird, oops, it's such a weird thing though because there is a there's a world where Microsoft, Xbox, whatever, they're really not even trying to make this into the mega monster that Halo used to be. Like back when you and me were in high school and people took the day off from school even to go stand in line and pick up Halo and shit like that.
That was
I
my
don't think
first
they're
midnight launch. Was Halo 3. It was my first
yeah,
midnight launch over at the mall over by us.
huh. Mine was Grand Theft Auto 4.
There you go.
But
I'm sorry.
But yes, I don't know if they with Game Pass being the way it is now, like they have consistently been like, oh, you know what? We don't care if this thing sets the world on fire. Like Sea of Thieves, a game that really didn't do huge numbers. Like it's done decent, but it's not a huge game by any stretch of the imagination. And they're still supporting it what feels like probably 2 or 3 years now. So I
Right.
can see the same thing for Halo. Like, hey, we've got this. We're gonna make it the best thing that we can. We're gonna put it out there. It doesn't have to. We're just gonna do something fan servicey. Like we're gonna service the fans. It doesn't have to be a Fortnite clone or something. So I really hope that's what they're doing. I mean, it's a strange spot that they're in. It's just because Halo is something that's so close to so many of us. Like
Right.
a lot of people this was their first FPS, to be honest. Like the
Yeah.
Xbox generation, for you and me it's probably GoldenEye, like that's what we think back to, but the
Hmm.
generation after us, it was Halo. It was like, yeah, that was Halo sold Xboxes. Like in terms of the best console launch title, I think it would definitely be up there for argument's sake, like what it would be, just because of how influential it was. But
It would
I
have to
wish
be
them
because Halo 3 just like punched through the online gaming space
yeah.
and I mean, it really put Xbox Live itself as a service on the map as well. So it's it's weird. I can absolutely see what you're saying, where we might be in that world in that time where the execs up in 343 are just like, hey, Microsoft's pushing us. They want something a little bit more catering to the more hardcore. So we're not going to go too weird on the creative freedoms here, even though the grappling hook is definitely a departure from the series, which I would like to see more footage of the grappling hook also, because I wonder how lateral that allows you to be gameplay wise. Like, is this going to be a weird take on Titanfall or something along those lines, where you can just, scale a building in an instant? Like, you don't need double jump. You can just, whip yourself all the way up to the top of the building. Um, I it it's interesting. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
interesting enough to be a winning decision. Um, but I did read where people are saying that the needler kicks ass again, so I'm happy about that.
yeah. I didn't actually try that. Yeah, like I said, I just
What maps did you have? Were they all like brand new maps, or did they feel like they were
yeah.
any of the old ones?
It was just one map rotating, and it was definitely. I think it was literally I think built just for this technical preview because it was
Mm,
so tiny. Like it wasn't a large scale Halo map whatsoever. Like I want to say it didn't even feel like the size of one of those small like Osiris maps from Destiny. Like it was
right.
smaller than even that. Yeah. Like I think there's maybe two tunnels, but they did a good job of giving you like some different verticality and things like that. Like there was a cliffside, there was an underground type, or not underground, but like a run through tunnel, a
Okay.
couple of peak spots. No real sniping opportunities though that I saw. Like
Mm,
you could quick scope, like if you were within range of someone, but there was no like across the field. So I hope they keep that, to be completely honest. Like I don't know. That's always been a controversial take. Like some people really like sniping. I do, but except for the game has to be balanced correctly because if you have a overskilled sniper in a match with just a bunch of casual people, it just becomes murder for the casual folks. Like they can't ever
right.
do anything. So
I wonder
yeah.
if that's like the next evolution in matchmaking, because we now are getting to a point where it's almost common for a game to now open up to crossplay, you know, console to console, or sometimes you can opt in if you want to bring your console game to like PC servers or something along those lines. But do you remember back in the Battlefield like 4 era where they had that companion app and you could check
Yeah.
like where you ranked for each weapon type, like for each region and everything. I wonder if we're ever going to get to that point where uh they're like, "Oh, this map type is fond of long-range weapons." So we need to match make with that extra variable in place to make sure that we're not unloading three top tier, long range players against a team that is really only good with shotguns. Like, I wonder if we'll get to that level of detail yet.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be pretty interesting. All right, well, so that was from the technical test of Halo Infinite. There's still a couple more tests I think they have planned on the way, right? There's supposed to be
Oh
an
yeah,
actual
they'll
like
be.
campaign test, and then some other different multiplayer types I think are also planned as well. So we'll definitely keep y'all updated on that. You have any closing notes on Halo Infinite, Steve? Nope.
No sir.
At this point, based off of your experience, services aside, buy, wait, or pass?
Oh, it's definitely a buy. I think like you're not going to get a bad game like you. I think it's going to be a game for taste. Like it's not going to. That's the only variable for me. I don't think it's going to be a bad game. Like they put it back in the oven for a reason. They
Mm-hmm.
they know that they can't put their baby out there half cooked.
Right.
You just can't do that with one of your core franchises. Like that's it would be a death sentence. Like you can have creative differences like you have with five where people are like, oh man, I don't like this, but you can't have something that technically just looks like trash if it's supposed to be the best that your hardware can do. Because that's the whole theory behind exclusives is that you are the manufacturer of the hardware, you're the publisher of this title and the developer of it. You should be able to pull out of this what
Every
no one
ounce of
else can.
power.
Yeah, so that's I hope they do a great job. I mean, it's still got months to polish. What is this? I'm guessing it's going to be out before Thanksgiving, of course. So
I think so. Like holiday of this year is what they're targeting.
yeah. So I would think maybe October. I don't know if they have the release date out there already, but November's always crowded because of Call of Duty and Battlefield. So I would think they want to get out like maybe before that. And you definitely
Oh yeah, that
you
would
want to
be
be
a challenge for them.
yeah, and you usually want to be in stores for Black Friday, which is November. So I would think October. If not, it can't be next month because they would have to announce it already. So who knows? I mean,
Right.
maybe they do skip Black Friday and come out in December. I mean, it's still Christmas season, so
I guess it's possible because especially if they're targeting if Microsoft and Xbox are targeting the subscription services the most, they're not expecting a full blown physical retail, launch, especially if this game is going to be primarily online anyways. They're
Yeah.
most likely going to be targeting with in mind that most people are just going to download the game. So
Yeah.
I think you might be onto something. I think Black Friday might not be a huge deal for this title for them.
Yeah.
Have you seen any well, no, it's not that type of world anymore. I was going to ask if you had seen any words on like a special edition console or special edition controller or something like that for this.
It's funny you asked that. So, um, I can't remember what number it was, but IGN's Xbox podcast just had a an anniversary. It was a big number, maybe 500 or 1,000. And they had Phil Spencer on, and one of the people on there, I think it was Miranda Sanchez, asked Phil Spencer, "Hey, with COVID and manufacturing being a problem, and you guys not even being able to make regular Xboxes right now, are the days of special editions gone?" And he was like, "No, it's not gone." He's like, "We are reserving a special number to do things like that because these are important to us," but he didn't have any specifics to provide. So I think they are going to do something. I think it's probably so when you have this issue with Scalpers 2 going on, they're probably going to do something like reservation style, I would hope. The Steam system sucked, because it kept breaking down. But honestly, that was probably a good way to do it. Do the same thing for Xbox. Like, hey, if you want to, if you want to pre-order an Xbox or a PlayStation, you need to have a account already set up. It sucks because maybe some of the new buyers, who can't,
Right.
but like even for them though, like, hey, at least that reduces the number of like what scalpers can do. Like at least maybe
Right.
like a parent can make their kid an Xbox account, have it set up for them before they even get the console, like kind of how Amazon does with the Echoes and all that kind of stuff. But
Right.
I don't know, man. It's a so rough world, and obviously with us being having the history and transportation, like there ain't shit you can do about it when
Nope.
this
It's
stuff's
it's a
going on.
waiting game. You gotta,
Yeah,
yeah. There's a lot of choke points along the way, and right now they're all getting choked out.
yeah.
Um, yeah, this would be the first main. If there isn't one for this Halo, it would be the first main Halo to not get a special edition console, and that includes Combat Evolved because that was the I don't know if it was officially tied to the translucent original Xbox, but I know that's I mean it came bundled with it. So uh it also really wasn't the time for special edition anythings other than, Game Boy Colors. I think we're getting special editions. That was pretty much it. All right, well let's move along to a story that you brought to us about a title called The Crow. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what The Crow is and who Wes Keltner is and what the deal is going on?
Yeah, so this one I just thought it was kind of a cool story. There's not much to report now because it's literally it's not even a title that's been announced yet. So Wes Wes Keltner here. If you guys are familiar with the Friday the 13th game, this was the creative and game director behind that title. Friday the 13th was originally a crowdfunded project, and then once they raised money for it, they went off and got the agreements to license the game, blah 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 blah, all of that. It was a fun game. The death note that came from them was actually there ended up being a dispute over the Friday the 13th license from the right holders and another party, and caught up in that was these guys. So they a court ruled that they could only make stability patches for the game and that they cannot do anything that would add new content in. So with that happened, obviously the audience was like, okay, well, this game's dead now. It actually still has a pretty fun audience, and I kind of want to re-download it and play it now. It's pretty fun, but
That was pretty
um,
fun when we played that on
yeah,
like
it
what was
was.
it? That was like launch weekend or something that we had hopped on there.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
yeah, I had a bunch of preview codes, so we actually got in even earlier than that. But anyway, so this thing, as you can see on screen, this was update number 9. So what he started doing, his team went after the Crow license because the Twitterverse was like, "Hey, we want you to do another game, do one in the Crow universe." So if all you guys probably remember, the Crow was a pretty cool movie from the '90s. Unfortunately, the star of the movie passed away, unfortunately, because of a accident on set. But the Crow as a movie has a cult following. People love it, and it does lend itself to a video game because of some of the powers that the Crow had and all that. So this guy, he said, "Hey, we want to make a Crow game. I'm going to outline for you guys everything that happens in the development process. Even from the whole point of negotiating." So what he's been doing is he's been showing like everything that's happening behind the scenes, and like the people on Twitter have just been like, "Man, I can't believe this is the process." But like some of the updates were, "Hey, I met with the right holders. They said that." I don't know what that means, but they said that they want us to do it. We're cool. They like us, blah blah. But they want to have complete creative control over the game in terms of features, milestones, all of that. And he's like, this is a company that the only thing they do is license out IP, but they want to be in control of the game, and that is how that unfortunately is how badly licensed games come about because the
Right.
developers don't get to have creative control, and it's kind of this nasty symbiotic relationship because your game is going to do so much better if you have something that people recognize, which is a license, but you're going to lose some of your creative freedom, which ends up making the product not as good as it could be. So,
Right.
but this is cool because as you can see in the update, they have a verbal agreement that the company said, "Hey, okay, you know what? We agreed on the money already. You guys can do whatever you want creatively." So hopefully this goes about. With it just being announced now, they're a double A studio, so I would think this would probably be like a 2 to 3 year project. But if they follow the same route of Friday the 13th, they probably have a some type of technical demo out within maybe 1 2 years from now. So hey, good luck to them. I hope the only thing left now is for them to put pen to paper. So I hope that all works out. But this has all happened pretty quickly. I mean, you can see his last update was on July 30th, and we're only about a month and a couple days away from that, and he's already got an agreement that they're going to move forward. So good
That's pretty
stuff.
fast in the business world of ownership of rights. That's a pretty expeditious move forward. Did they say what type of game this is going to be?
So it would be another asymmetric multiplayer type game.
Okay.
Like one player's the Crow, and then everyone else is. So the Crow was a anti-hero. He kind of went after bad guys and shit like that. So you probably play some type of bad hooligans off in a world. I think he had mentioned some high level things, but I think they wanted to do it like in a real like city. So Friday the 13th all took place at like campgrounds. So I think
Right.
maybe they make like a small city block or something like that. Continue to, which I mean it'd be cool. There's a lot of verticality in the movie and these special powers and things like that. So that would probably come into play. It could really be a cool title. So I hope they do well. I do.
It'd be pretty cool. Yeah, it'd be nice to keep an eye on this one and see where it went because I remember we had a blast on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I
And it
really
really
am
sucked that
gonna.
it got beat down pretty hard uh, from legal reasons. And then I think what was the industry response to it? Was it um Dead by
That's one
Daylight?
thing. People like Dead by Daylight a lot more. Like that definitely had a bigger audience. That one's been more mainstream. I think a lot of the streamers helped that one out because
Right.
it's a fun game to play with streamers. Um, the only thing about Dead by Daylight 2, the advantage they have was they have all these DLC packs. So they've got like the Scream, killer. They've got or not Friday the 13th, but like Nightmare on Elm Street. They've got Stranger Things. Like so they
Silent
cycle in a lot of
Hill
that
and
stuff,
yeah.
and yeah, so it keeps it kind of fresh. But I didn't really care for the gameplay that much, to be honest myself. I really preferred the Friday the 13th because it felt more like a cooperative type thing. It was like, oh, we're all in this together. We gotta fucking
Right.
hey, and like my absolute favorite thing is like the walkie talkies. Like that is such a stupid little thing because every game has voice chat, but like it feels more impactful when you find a walkie talkie there. It's like finally I can communicate with someone else. Like where
Right.
the hell are you at? Shit's gone to hell. Jason's around here. Like I don't know. They did a good job with that game. So
And it
it's
makes you even
not
more anxious when you're trying to hide away from him and then your walkie-talkie's going off.
exactly. Yeah, it was good, man.
Adds a whole other, intense element to it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I wish I had gotten a little bit more life out of it. All right. Anything else on this?
Nope.
Nope. All right, let's move along. So a while back, a lot of us had played Valheim. I even had a private server running for a long time. And then we still have a couple friends. I think Ryan and BP are still playing it every once in a while. Not too often, but they still do. But there's a new update coming out called Hearth and Home,
Ooh.
and it looks to be adding a lot more items and decorations, and I think they're adding another boss maybe
Oh
as
wow.
well. I'm not entirely sure, but I mean, you didn't play a whole lot of this with us. You kind of like hopped in, goofed around for a little bit, and you're like, nah, I'm out.
That's the perfect sum up of it. Oh man.
uh, I think it was like what the first like 10 seconds that you were in the server, you're like, all right, how do I hack to get all these medals in here?
Yeah, like the it wasn't a bad game to me. It's just it was one of those things that was built for like a sandbox. Like as soon as I was in there, I'm
Right.
like, this is like The Sims to me because all I really want to do is build. Like the gameplay itself was not that engaging to where I really like the going out and hunting thing. Like okay, it was kind of cool when we were as a group of us, but if I'm playing solo or like if I'm playing on a server like this where the whole idea is like, oh, we're making a real world, and that was another thing I didn't like how it the resets and all that kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
like for me, it was like this is something that needs to be a sim. Like they, I'm glad it works out the way it is for the people that it works for. But for me, I really like for me, I just like I want to play a sim instead. I want a sim thing. Like I would have liked Valheim more if it was like a Harvest Moon. What's that other game? Stardew Valley.
Stardew
Like
Valley.
if it was something like that to where it's like, hey, you've got this realm, you and all your buddies plot out your land, like maybe it's a real time strategy type thing instead, like, hey, send them over here to conquer these. Like I would have preferred it in that gameplay style more than the whole like action adventure type game that it is, because it the fidelity just kind of kills it for me. At that level of fidelity, I'm like, this should just be a like a little do. I've got my little farm. I can build my house myself. But no, I mean it's a cool thing though.
Yeah,
This won't.
there were definitely a couple of mods that the community had been asking for, and creative mode was one of them. Like that's whenever you get into the game, you do instantly feel like this is a place I just want to build in. Like I want to turn the brain off. I want to go collect my materials, and I want to go just build a Viking hut with a bunch of boats hanging out in front, and just have a small little Viking village. And for a lot of our friend group, that's exactly what it turned into. Fish and I had been building that entire like dockside capital city almost. And then we had like adventuring parties that were targeting just different bosses and collecting different materials for everybody and everything like that. So it really did have a, and mind you, by the way, the level in which we had reached inside the game, it, there's no real levels, but there is a like progression through the game. We had only gotten 3 out of 5 bosses, and it's like an exponential hurdle to get to each other boss. So we still had a ton of time put into it and still had a ton of content to run through as well. It is not an easy game at all. In fact, that was one of the mods I had on the server, was to make it a little bit more friendly for one person to be on our server and go and do their thing and not just get obliterated because the enemy AI was thinking that, oh hey, there's 18 other people in this world. I guess that means you're all coming for me now. So it kind of
Hmm.
dropped their health a little bit. Um, yeah, I'll this isn't out yet. I think it's supposed to be coming out in, or more news is supposed to be coming out in like a month or two.
Ooh,
Along with more stuff. So
an
I think
announcement of more news.
yeah, an announcement of more. Well, because they had been working. I don't know why they had been quiet for so long. Probably just because they've been working on it. I know that it has been versioned quite heavily since last time I had played it. There's been a lot of bug fixes because I know a lot of people were upset with some of the bugs that were in there. There was nothing more frustrating than fighting a boss and then just getting, clipped out of oblivion and fly off to the sunset, and then just get, fall damage, so you die. It would definitely hamper your desire to keep on playing. That's all I had in the news. Do you have anything else you wanted to add in the news, Steve? Nope. All right. Well, that's all the news. How long have we been running? About 40 minutes.
38 minutes.
That's pretty good. I'm down with that. All right. Thank you everybody for watching. Catch us on Twitter. Our handles will show up on the screen here in a minute. And we record every Monday, 7 o'clock. I'm looking not at the camera. We record every Monday at 7 o'clock live on Twitch. And you can catch the video if you missed anything on YouTube tomorrow, Tuesdays. Normally by 5. It's always been pretty much before then, but I try to target 5 to be the absolute latest. All right. Anything else you want to plug, Steve?
No, sir.
All right. Y'all be safe out there.
Adios.
Peace.